What a wonderful world.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Real. I am reporting live on a new camera today. Let me know if you guys are watching the YouTube version what we think. I'm using a Sony camera. Heard good things about this for like vlogging and stuff. So maybe, who knows, maybe I'll become a vlogger. I don't think anytime soon though, because like one thing at a time, you know? But I just got back from my trip and I missed a week off of the pod. So I missed you guys and I'm sorry that I have been all over the world. But I had the best time. If you're not, I'm sure you guys already are, but if you're not following me on Instagram or TikTok, I've been posting a lot of travel heavy content. So I'm sorry if that is not why you follow me, but maybe you're going somewhere soon and you need some tips. And I've been posting a lot of stuff. So who knows? Maybe it'll come in handy. I am finally back. I actually leave again on this Friday for my friend's wedding. So that's really exciting. I don't have a dress. And the wedding is on Saturday. So this is going to be an interesting situation that I'm going to have to deal with. Yeah. Like I literally ordered stuff. Revolve is like where I usually order my dresses from. If anyone is like looking for like wedding guest dresses, it's black tie. But every time I got my dress in the mail this time, something was just a little off and didn't work. So I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens this week because if not, I'm wearing one of my backups. I'm wearing a Poppy sweatsuit and literally drinking Swoon. So I feel like I'm cheating on Poppy, but I have none left in my apartment. So I posted a little like question box on Instagram. I thought it would be fun to do like a controversial opinions. Like some of my opinions might not seem that controversial. Some of them might be a little controversial, but this is real. And we're going to get real today about my opinions on just like various topics. I thought this would just be a fun break episode in between guests. Since we had a guest last time, we have a guest next time. I'm really excited. You guys all know the guest that is on next week's episode. So I'm really excited for that. Many really amazing guests lined up for the future. So I'm very excited for that as well. But I did want to break it up today and just do a me and you kind of episode. So I have a ton of these that are, oops, what did I just do? I have a ton of these on here and we are just going to go down the list and get right into it because there's so many. So thank you guys for sending them in. All right, I'm going right down the line, I feel like. I'm going to start from bottom to top. This is juicy because the literal first question I got was your honest opinion on Ozempic. I've talked about this before, so it is nothing groundbreaking. I think, look, you do you. And I want to add, someone else asked a question on here. Wait, I need to find it. They said, friends on Ozempic, LOL, struggling with this myself and supporting them. So I'm going to mix those two questions since they were very similar. And since I've talked about like Ozempic before on here and kind of my like general opinion, let's talk about friends being on it or people in your life being on it or influencers being on it and just like how we should feel about that. Here's the thing for me. Has it affected me? Absolutely. It has affected me. As a person who's been in disordered eating situations, who has struggled with my mental health and my body image, and who has struggled with yo-yo dieting for just years and years and years, it is inevitable that seeing people find an easy out, and I don't want this to seem like it's not an easy out because you have to still work at it. However, it's a way to suppress your appetite, and it's almost like you lose the weight fast. You're losing the weight fast, and when you are in the height of your eating disorder and when you're in the height of your body image issues, all you want I'm speaking from personal experience, like literally all you want in life is like a magic fucking pill that can make you thin. And when this came out and when just this became like a more known thing, it kind of has seemed to be that. Like I've seen just so many people in my industry and friends and just get magically thin. And you're like you can't help but feel like it's an easy out. And I don't even mean it in like a negative way, because like, especially for people that are struggling with weight loss and they're overweight or they have a health issue, or they're diabetic or they have PCOS or things like that. That's very valid. Like that is a medical reason to be on it. So I really want to preface, like, I'm not talking about people like that, and I have no place to judge, and there would be no reason for anyone to judge, because it's like being on any other medication. It's like me taking medication for my anxiety. I need it. Like I couldn't function without it. There's a medical reason that I'm taking it, and I'm taking it and it helps me and it makes my life better and improves my life. However, when we're talking about a person that is already societally deemed as like thin and they're just going on it to lose that extra 10, 5, 15, even 20 pounds, that's when you look at it as kind of like an easy out, in quotes. So it is very hard. Sorry, I know this is rant, but it's very hard not to feel a little jealous or a little triggered by those people. But if there's one thing that I've learned through recovery and through like my body image, it's that like you are just like responsible for you. You can't let every single thing that everyone else does affect you, because you'll be fucked. And that's just the truth. Like, you have to never ever compare like yourself or your life to other people. And I know like it's so much easier said than done. It really is. But if everyone was going on a medication that made you a certain way, that doesn't mean you automatically have to do it. I think like you have to bring logic into it, realize that if you're thin or if you're a normal average weight, the risks would outweigh the benefits for you going on something like Ozempic. I think it's important to remember that. And if you're thin and your friend is thin and your friend goes on Ozempic, so be it. They might be suffering consequences later on. Let them and let them suffer the consequence. It is not your place to say anything. It, like, especially if you're a full-grown adult, like, it is not my place as an adult to tell my friends how to act. It's not my place to tell my friends how to live their lives. There comes to a certain point. I get when we were younger and it's like you want to help your friend with something. If they're in a toxic situation or they're doing something toxic, like there are certain situations where you need to help. But there comes a point where when you're a full-grown adult, there's no more really, you can't hold their hand or tell them what to do because they're an adult. So, I mean, that's how I think of it. It's maybe this is fucked up of me, but at the same time, it's a little bit of just me protecting my peace. If my friend is like, or if someone I know is doing something that's like unhealthy for them or like, and I've kind of already expressed my opinion about it. Maybe I disagreed with it and I told them that. That's all I can do. Outside of that, and I'm sorry, again, this is real, not my fucking problem. I got to do me now. I got to look out for me. And like, maybe I can set a boundary. Like, you're on Ozempic. I don't want to really talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to go to meals around that person as much if it's going to trigger me if they're never eating. But at the same time, life is full of triggers. Life is always going to be full of triggers. And so you have to either be in therapy or kind of just think to yourself, like, how can I minimize these triggers? Or like, how can I just focus on me and do what's best for me? And as you get older, you realize you start to prioritize yourself and your own goals and habits more and more. And you realize that everyone's going to do what's best for them in the end. And so if your friend's on it and they end up suffering the consequence, let them. Just let them. I'm not judging you. I don't give a fuck, but I'm going to stay the fuck out of it. That's just me. Because let's be for real. Anyone knows that if you've been through that stuff, it's just simply triggering. But you know what? I've gotten less and less triggered by it as time has gone on. But it does seem to really pop up in conversations a lot for me and my friends. And so it's definitely something we all are thinking about right now. And it's kind of hard not to. So I'm validating if you're thinking about it, if it's crossed your mind, if it's in your conversations, like valid for you to feel some type of way about it. But you got to do what's best for you. Let your friends do what's best for them. Moving on. Brand trips. Okay, this is a good one. Here's what I think about brand trips. I think that there are certain ones that are out of hand when it comes to how lavish they are, but at the same time, it gets people talking. So there's nothing wrong with it. I think that a person doesn't need to have all of the knowledge in the world about a brand before going on a brand trip. I used to think it was better if a person was already a fan of the brand and then the brand invited them. But I recently had a situation. I got invited on a overnight with Color Wow. And I had never really used Color Wow products. I had heard about them. And I know like the owner actually founded John Frieda, which has been a brand that I've been riding for since the beginning. So I was familiar with like some of the other like sister brands or whatever, but I was not like using Color Wow products. I went on this Color Wow overnight and started using their products. And I really like fell in love with them and I would ride for them. And like they have changed my hair. I am obsessed. And I wouldn't have gotten that I mean, maybe eventually would have tried them, but that gave me an opportunity to try them. And then we also had this sit down dinner where all of the people who like founded the brand or developed the brand, the scientists behind it, they all spoke on the product. And that's where I think it's so important that like if you're going to have these trips, that there are people that are actually speaking on the products that they're going to be promoting. Because usually a trip revolves around a specific launch or a product that they're promoting. So another example of this is Beauty Bio. I went on a brand trip with them and we had a whole morning, not the whole trip. There was pieces sprinkled, but we had a whole morning that was dedicated to learning about the product that we were promoting, learning the science behind it, learning why it's beneficial, what ingredients are in it. And I just think it's really, really important that if brands are going to do trips, they're actually educating the influencers about the product and why it's good and what development went on behind the scenes. And I know for other influencers, maybe this sounds boring, but for me, I think it's extremely important and vital because if I'm going to go on a trip and promote a brand, I want to know the ins and outs of what I'm talking about and what I'm there to promote. And I've been on other brand trips where there's been launches where they've barely mentioned the launch. And I'm like, what am I even here for? And other influencers are like, what are we even here for? So I think the bottom line is it doesn't matter if you're familiar or not familiar with the brand, but I do think it's extremely important that if you're going to throw a proper brand trip and you're going to have a launch of something or even just like a new season, like let's say it's for clothing and it's a new season, like I want to learn about the development of the products or I want to learn about what was the inspiration behind creating these products. We're not getting paid to be there. We're just going because it's kind of a win-win for both sides. We get this amazing experience, and in exchange, we are promoting the experience and promoting the brand and the products. I think it's a perfectly fair trade, to be honest. I love the experiences. I love traveling, and it's an honor when I get to go on these kinds of trips. But I do think it's just like I can't stress this enough. So important that brands are properly educating their influencers and not just throwing them at a 5-star resort and saying, go play. I've seen that happen. Fine if you want to do that, I guess, if that's your style. But for me, if I'm going to be talking about a product, speaking to a product, promoting a product, or just being with the team, like I want to learn about it and I want to know how I can then speak to my audience about it and educate them about it. So snaps to Beauty Bio, snaps to Color Wow, because those were two recent brands that just did such a amazing job of really like educating the influencers on the trips about why we're here and what went on behind the scenes in promoting these products. Okay, Next up, weed. Okay, I don't smoke weed. I'll tell a quick story. I like get panic attacks from weed. Like literally gives me the worst panic. My anxiety, like my whole family is this way. Like we cannot like edibles. Like that's my worst nightmare. If anything, like maybe can I talk about? Am I gonna get like demonetized on YouTube for talking about this? I don't know. Let's call it grass. Grass. I cannot do anything that has to do with grass, but like edibles, that's the worst of the worst probably. And so one time, okay, when I was in college, my ex-boyfriend was like a big grass smoker. And I like wanted to fit in and be cool. So I would like go with him to like hotbox his friends' cars. And one time I had the worst, like I was tripping. Like I was tripping balls from literal grass. I did not think that was possible. I literally felt like I was in an alternate reality and I kept like blacking out and like going into another dimension. I know I sound psychotic, but I swear this is what I felt like and I'll never forget. I was literally a freshman in college. And then I would like come back and like freak out. And like it was I had the worst bug out of my life and it scarred me so bad. After that, I was like, I can never rip a bong again. Like I'll literally die. But long story short, yeah, I fucking hate weed. And it makes me feel awful. But if it makes, and also on top of that, it just like making me panicky, I get weed hangovers. Like the next day after, I feel foggy and I feel not sharp and I feel like I can't physically function. So with all of that put together, it's a big just no from me. Power to you if you can. I simply hate it. And I also think anyone that smokes every single day, do I think that's the healthiest habit? Probably not. I think everything in moderation. And to me, if you're like really smoking like every day, to me, it's like, what are you like hiding from or what anxieties are you not addressing? Look, I'm not perfect. I have my own vices. But I just think where you're like drinking every day, like anything like that, I just feel like it's like you're trying to escape something. And I think it's just important to keep those things in check and like realize how often you're doing something. And I don't know. Yeah, it's just important to keep those things in check, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. All right, next up, hookup culture. Balance of having fun and emotionally being smart. When I was in college, I was a big hooker-upper. Like when I went through my first breakup, which was like my sophomore year of college, I just like went on a rampage and like that was fun for me and it was fine. Like I truly think I needed to get it out of my system. And in college, like I was just kind of like that. Like I don't know, like that was fun for me. And even like a little bit post-grad, like the first maybe year or so post-grad, I really like no feelings were involved. I kind of just did whatever and I didn't care. There just came to a certain point where like it wasn't like that anymore. And I was like, this is not fun for me anymore. And like, what's the purpose? I was like, I'm not like having fun. Like I'm like doing it and like not even like remembering the sex the next day. So who was this fun for? And it's always like the guy getting like the pleasure out of it and the girl just kind of going through the motions. Like girls, like most girls aren't like having orgasms during sex, you know? You have to be with a partner that you're comfortable with. So I think that's like a big thing for me. I was like, what am I even doing? Like, what am I even getting out of this? Because in the beginning, I feel like it was like an experience thing. Like I was just getting experience and I was experiencing different people and it was fun and I was going out. And then it got to a point where I literally was like, I like am not interested in this anymore. Like I want a relationship. Like I don't care about hooking up. Like this doesn't make me feel good. This isn't fun. Kind of feel like shit the next day, especially when it came to even recently. I recently have been like hooking up kind of with this guy and he's someone from my past and like we just like have kind of like not like rekindled because like we're not like a thing, but like it just made me realize like I don't like this life. I don't like this little life. I hate this little life. This little life makes me feel like shit because like I'm going through the same thing that I like went through in college where I literally like will hook up with him, and then like the next day I'll hear nothing from him, and like he'll ghost me for like a whole week and just hear nothing. And I'm like, I just like literally had sex with you. Like, the least you can fucking do is just text me the next day and like be like, had a good time. Or like, what are you doing this week? Want to go get drinks? Like something. No. And you know why this is happening? Because I allow it. And I had allowed it in the past, and I'm allowing it now. So bottom line, if you're starting to feel hurt by something, if something's starting to bring guilt, that's when you know to like draw that line on like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be like just having random sex with a person. So yeah, I'm at that point. I had my time with this person, and then I was like, yeah, no, this is like hurting me. Like, this hurts because like this person doesn't care about me or respect me. And for that, I don't respect you back. But yeah, I just think it's all relative. There's no right or wrong, but I do think that women lead with emotions a lot of the time. And especially when we have sex, we release a certain hormone. I'm not a scientist, don't quote me on this, but I've heard this a lot. And so but definitely don't quote me on this. But what it is true that when you have sex, you release a certain hormone that causes you to get more attached to a person. So I think it's important to keep in mind that like we're just built different than men, and like emotions will get involved faster. Men fall in love through like connection and through like us doing things for them and being there for them and helping them. And women can often fall in love through like having sex, and because you're releasing that chemical. So yeah, that's my opinion on hookup culture. I think you just got to be careful and know that like it's okay to go through that phase of feeling a certain way about of like exploring and whatever. But it's just good to recognize when the phase is over and when it's hurting you more than helping you. Trends. Okay. I don't think this is that much of a tea one. I just think it's like, I'm not going to follow every trend simply because not every trend is going to look good on me. Like, if you're going to tell me to put on a micro mini skirt, I'm just simply not going to do it. I'm going to look like a fucking whore. My ass is huge and I'm curvy. And if that's your style, go off. But for me, I would hate myself. So I just think it's like, if a trend is going to make you feel like shit, like do not force yourself to wear it. Or maybe try an alternative of the trend. Like for me, instead of wearing like a micro mini skirt, I'm just going to wear like a short skirt. Maybe high-waisted, maybe a little looser, maybe not like a tight micro mini skirt like what my sister's wearing, you know? So it's like, I just think you have to adjust accordingly to like what makes you feel comfortable or to what you think looks good on you. Because and there was also a question about like dressing for your body type, and maybe I'll add this one into this. You don't have to dress for your body type. There's no pressure to do that at all. However, if you feel insecure in your clothes often, it might be helpful to know what you feel good in and what you don't feel good in. So for me, it's not as much about like a set rule that's like, oh, you're a pear shape, so you are not allowed to wear this, you're allowed to wear this. No, like it's more like over my 26 years of living, I've realized kind of like what makes me feel confident and what doesn't. It doesn't really matter if a friend looks at me and says, oh, this looks great on you and this doesn't, because that's their perception, not mine. And at the end of the day, I'm the one who has to walk outside and feel confident and have like a aura about me that exudes confidence. So it's like, I don't care what anyone else thinks I look good in. It's like, what do I feel good in? So yeah, not as much like a set rule of what's good for my body type. It's like what makes me feel good and what outfits and types of shapes make me feel good. I think it's always important to keep that in check if it's important to you. If you don't care and you like want to be like, there's no rule. Like you don't have to be thin to like wear a crop top. Like if you truly like feel good in that and like you want to wear that and you've got a little fat on your stomach and like that you're rocking that, like I fucking like slay. That is power, because not everyone is going to do that. Like, not everyone is going to feel confident doing that. I know for me, I don't. It's the truth. There are certain parts of my stomach like I want to cover, but it's all about what makes you feel best. And so, that goes back to the trends too. It's just like, you got to do what works for you and what makes you feel good. It doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing or what someone says looks good on you or your body type. So, yeah. Dieting post-recovery. Okay. Here's my take on this. Like, a legitimate diet post-recovery. I'm going to talk about how I feel post recovery. I was never properly diagnosed inpatient or anything with an eating disorder. However, I did have all of the symptoms of what would have qualified as an eating disorder at a certain point in my life. So and even if you're going through disordered eating, whatever it is, like, I went through a recovery period. I gained a lot of weight during that recovery period. After that, I definitely felt like, now I want to lose the weight. Oh, now I'm recovered. It won't hurt me to just lose the weight. It set me back. I think it's always going to set you back. You just don't get rid of those mindsets. Like, you just once you struggle with those problems, I think it's such a process. And 1, 2, 3, even 5 years after going through an eating disorder or disordered eating, there's just no off switch. Like, you can't just switch it off and say, okay, now I'm on a healthy diet. Like, I just don't think it works. Trust me, I've been there. I've wanted to lose weight. To this day, I struggle with wanting to lose weight, but knowing that certain things just aren't good for me and they never will be. With that being said, I think there are healthy lifestyle adjustments you can make. For me, it's mindfulness. It's not watching TV when I'm eating, if I can help it, because I know I'll overeat if I'm watching TV and I'm not paying attention to my hunger cues as much. It's maybe keeping Halo Top in the house, because if I have a pint of ice cream in the house, I might feel like I need to eat the whole thing, or that the small portion, I can eat a larger, I like volume. And I talked about this in our previous episode with Paige, she likes volume as well. I want to be able to sit there and mindlessly eat. So I'll choose a Halo Top over an ice cream that's a full fat ice cream, because I know that I can more mindlessly eat it and not constantly be over consuming. So I think balance can play a role. However, am I ever going to sit there and calorie count, cut out a whole food group, say I want to lose 10 pounds, you just anything that looks to me, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You know when they say that? So if it seems like it's a little fishy, it probably is. So I just try to keep balance and mindfulness in mind, but it's a slippery slope. So post-recovery, it's normal to put on a lot of weight and then feel like, fuck, now I'm overweight and I want to go back to just balanced or just a little less. But you got to be careful, because your mind, it's tricky. And it takes, I don't know if I'll ever be completely immune from my disordered eating thoughts, or I don't know, it's a conscious choice still. So yeah. Ooh, this is a good one. Dating apps. I fucking hate dating apps. Literally, it feels forced. I feel like every guy ghosts me. The amount of times in the last 3 months, I have probably 5 to 6 times, I'm not even kidding, where I've had just a dry, normal conversation with a guy. They've asked me out. I've said yes. We've planned a date. And then they've just been oh, I'm busy. Work came up. Something came up. Guys, literally, because we're on apps and because there's so much freedom of choice and so many options, and everyone has just become disposable. I've become disposable. They don't care. I'm just another number. They're probably talking to 10 other girls at the same time. So there's not weight in it. Where for me, if I'm talking to you outside of the app. I made that conscious choice that I actually liked you. I actually thought you had potential. Like, I'm not going out of my way to talk to like 500 people. Like, I'm going to choose the one that I actually feel like might be a good match and take you out of the app and then talk about going on a date. Like, that means something to me. Apparently, to a lot of people, it doesn't. So for that reason, I fucking hate dating apps. I think there's no personal connection. There's nothing that's tying me to the person. At least if you get set up through a friend, they kind of have to follow through because it would look really bad on them if they fucked you over. Or like if you met them in person, like they would actually, like if you met them at a bar or like at a coffee shop, like you formed that initial connection. So there's more of a reason for them to like ask you out and pursue you. On an app, it's so easy to just drop someone like that. So I fucking hate dating apps. I think it sucks. I think it used to be better. I know a lot of people that have had success on it. Power to you. Not me though. Not me. I still have a little bit of hope. Like I'm still trying, but they really suck. All right, next one. This one is juicy. Getting back with your ex. Do I think it's okay to get back with your ex? I think it depends what they did. I think it all depends. I think more often than not, getting back with an ex is a bad idea. However, my parents broke up. My dad broke up with my mom. Most people would have said, he's not sure about you, run and do not take him back. But my dad got cold feet. He broke up with my mom. They didn't talk for a few months. She said, okay, F you, I'm moving on, I'm doing my thing. He called her up a few months later and he said, I like want to marry you. This is it. Like I was scared. I want to get back together. Period, done. She ended up getting back with him. They've been married now for 30 years, literally. So do I think that is the rule? No, I think that is the exception. But with that said, I do think there are exceptions. And we can't judge someone for getting back with an ex because we don't know their situation. You cannot judge a situation that you know nothing about. And so most of the time, do I think when people have on again, off again relationships, here's the thing too. If it's one off and then back on and everything's smooth, I think that's a different story. But if we're talking like on again, off again, and there are still things that are unresolved, yeah, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. And again, I think, why did you break up? What led to the breakup? What was going on before in the relationship that was wrong? There are just so many aspects that you really can't, there's no yes or no answer. There's no one answer. But I do think for the most part, it is more of about like it being the exception and not the rule. But also don't hold on to that because you should never hold on to hope that you're the exception and not the rule, you know? But yeah, the only way sometimes out is through, and you just got to take a chance on things and see them through. You can't predict what the future is. And so, yeah, sometimes you do have to just take that risk and go back to the person in order to either A, realize that they are the one, or B, realize that they're not. But there are no mistakes in life. It's just, that is just how life works. Ooh, PDA. Okay, like there's like a level to it. I think there's like cute PDA and there's like gross PDA. Like cute PDA is like holding hands, rubbing someone's back, like showing that you're together. Gross PDA is like making out at the dinner table, like making other people uncomfortable. I hate like when we were just in Europe, like people like make out in the middle of the street, like in the train station and shit. Like I'm like, please stop. Maybe that's because I'm not in a relationship, but even when I was in a relationship, I would never do stuff like that. Like I think it's fucking weird. Like just do it at home, do it behind a door, like literally anywhere. It's gross. It's really gross. I didn't want to see it. So yeah, I think there's levels to it. Like there's a healthy amount of PDA, but when I think PDA, I think like PDA, you know, like when I think of like PDA, I don't know why I think of like crazy, like making out, like touching each other, like that stuff. Like that's like too much. Like that's like gross. Who actually, does anyone think that's normal? I don't. Maybe it's a European thing. I don't know. I just think it's weird. But I think there's cute PDA. Like there's cute, mild, like I love like a little holding hands. I love when a guy kind of claims they're like person, like they're a girl. Like if I'm out and I'm with a guy, like I love when they're kind of like touchy to me or like showing that like I'm with them. Like I love that actually. I think that is like unreal. And even though one of the guys that I like recently been with, like even though they can like be toxic at times, I do like that like when I'm with them, certain guys when I'm with them, they will like make it very known that like I'm going home with her tonight. It makes me feel very secure. So I really love that. It's something that I definitely would look for in a future partner. I like that they like make you feel like secure. So in a personal way, I like that kind of PDA, but nothing like gross. Like I don't want to make out with you at a restaurant. It's not fun for me at all. I feel like I'm being watched. I don't like it. Ooh, bed rotting. I fucking love bed rotting. Who doesn't like bed rotting? I don't know. I'm a lazy piece of shit. So I love bed rotting. I personally like need my lazy days. Even if it's on a weekday and like if I can help it, if I'm able to edit. But I don't know. Lately, my bed rotting has become couch rotting. Like I don't rot on my bed. I actually don't spend time in my bed at all unless it's to sleep. I think that just has to do with me living alone and having a really comfy couch. But couch rotting, absolutely. I've been couch rotting all day today. I'm not even kidding. Well, I kind of been bed rotting too because I've been napping. But no, I love it and I support it. And especially if it's on a Sunday, like, girl, you can like wake up and be productive, but you also like don't have to. Like you can also lay on the couch all day and order in. And sometimes that is just a beautiful fucking thing. Like there's nothing more stunning than you being a little hungover on a Sunday and like ordering a bagel and like watching TV and rotting on the couch. And then maybe in the afternoon you like go for a bit of a walk. Maybe not also. You don't have to. I don't know. I'm a rotter. My family's rotters too. Like we have full support. Anyone that's judging you for that, like you can't, like I can't have you like that. I don't need that negativity in my life at all. Like, please let me rot in peace and don't make me feel judged about it. Like, don't come back and be like, oh my God, like, it's so beautiful outside. Like, get outside today. Shut up. Let me rot. My fitness pal, just like a no. No. That's it. That's all I have to say. Having a conventionally hot sister and being ugly and overweight. Was that directed at me? No, just kidding. Okay, I understand this though because my sister is conventionally hot. However, I would also consider myself conventionally hot. So thank you. But no, I get it. Like my sister definitely has like the conventional thin privilege like body type. However, I just like think it all evens out in some way. Like she is the body type, but like I'm like really funny. She's also hilarious. I don't know. I just think it all evens out in like somehow. Like not everyone has everything. This is getting a little too real. I'm just being so for real. Like that's how I make myself feel better about it. Like I'm like, okay, so what? I don't look like Kendall Jenner. I'm fucking hilarious. Like what would you rather have, you know? There's always going to be trade-offs in life, just like an apartment. It's just a trade-off. There's no like better one or worse one. It's just like not everyone is going to have everything. So I just like think of it as a trade-off. That's just me. Casual drinking alone. Oh. Okay, so here's the thing. I do this occasionally, but usually it involves me being anxious or depressed. So do I think it is a healthy habit? No. However, is just sometimes you have to engage in unhealthy habits in order to, like, I talk to my therapist about this a lot. Sometimes you have to just blow off some fucking steam. And if I'm super anxious, if you're able to just like control yourself, like I could just like have an Aperol spritz and like it will make me feel better at the end of a long day. And like I'll just feel tired after and be like, okay, I needed that, you know? So I think like any kind of like unhealthy habit in moderation is okay. So yeah, do I drink alone occasionally when I like feeling a little anxious, or if I just like want to chill out? Yeah. Again, moderation. I'm not doing it all the time, but once every few months, if I'm having a really anxious day, pour myself a glass of wine, pour myself an Aperol Spritz. Feeling a bit better after that. But I do think if you're casual drinking alone often and there's that same anxiety behind it, it's like maybe you need to get to the root of that, you know? So there's a line. With everything in life, there's a line, and you just got to be careful not to cross the line. And if you feel yourself crossing the line, that's when you intervene. And it's just, as long as you're self-aware enough to know when to intervene and like, what's going on with me? Like, what's going on with me mentally, and like, how can we get through this and like talk through it and figure it out? Then we're okay. I just think you got to be a little self-aware and know when it's time to reel it in. Oh, this one is juicy. Plastic surgeries and how influencers talk about them. This is fucking tea. Here's what I have to say. If a company is reaching out to me and offering to give me plastic surgery, why the fuck are you reaching out to me and offering to give me free plastic surgery? Do you need the marketing? If I'm going to get plastic surgery, you think I want to go to someone that is just throwing a fucking whatever it may be nose job at me? No. You're probably not a top doctor, because a top doctor would be charging a lot of money for that and not offering to give free shit away, you know? That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel personally. I feel like there's like supply and demand, you know? Where's the demand? Do you have demand? So when I see influencers posting about plastic surgery that they've gotten, and it's like they're posting a lot about it. First of all, I'm like, okay, they didn't pay for it, most likely. So, okay. You're posting because you owe this person a post, because you wanted this surgery and you owe the person a post or multiple posts, whatever it may be. Okay. So I get that you wanted it, but now you're telling all your followers about it and the great experience you had. And now your followers are influenced to maybe have an idea in their head that they didn't have before to want it. If we're talking about, and look, I'm not anti-plastic surgery. Like, I literally have lip filler. I've gotten a nose job. I low-key want a boob lift. I'm not going to lie. But all I'm saying is, do I in-depth, like, go online unwarranted and just, like, talk about the whole process of a nose job and why you should get one? No. Because if I was my friend, like, look, my nose job changed my life, I will say. But, like, if I was my friend or my family member when I was younger, I would have been like, you don't need one. Like, do not do that. So as a influencer, I don't want to go online and tell my followers to get something. I wouldn't encourage them to get something because I don't want, like, look, it's inevitable. Plastic surgery is inevitable. People are going to get it. But do I want to be the reason that someone got the idea in their head to, like, get something done? No. Like, I just think I don't know, it's like it's difficult. And at the same time, am I a hypocrite? Because I've posted about lip filler before. But I think it's like a dot of lip filler versus like something where you're being put to sleep might be like a little different. But maybe not. I don't know. I just think you got to be really careful. Also, I wouldn't post it to my platform on TikTok. I really only post it on like my Instagram stories, and it's like a singular one. There's less of a chance of like a mass amount of people seeing it. So whatever, that's just my opinion. I don't know. I feel like a lot of influencers just get free plastic surgery and they're just like posting about it. And it's like, not only are you influencing like young people to get things done that they don't need, it's also like a safety risk because like these surgeries, you're not sitting down going through all of the safety risks that, you know, like there's a lot of risk to getting anything done. There's risk to getting under eye filler or to getting a forehead Botox by the wrong person. You could go blind. So it's like, I just think it's really important to know the risks and to talk about them, and like not influencers aren't going to do that. So yeah, do I agree with people like blasting all of their plastic surgeries online all the time? Nah. I think there's, again, keep saying this. There's a line. There's a line. You can say you got something done. You can say you guys don't need this, but for the people that wanted to know, this was my experience with it and like one video. But then there's like, I don't know. I just think you got to be cautious about what you're promoting and what doctors you're promoting and things like that, because it is a scary and serious topic. And I do not want my followers going to a shit doctor. Seriously. Ooh, Reddit snark. Couldn't give a fuck, honestly. If you're talking about me, I'm probably relevant. Also, I don't read it, so I have no idea what goes on. I used to read it back when I had friends that I would literally tell, like, I would tell my friends, like, don't read it. And they would, like, literally read it to me and, like, talk about it to me. And I would be like, I purposely, like, I told you, like, not to tell me about it. And they were so addicted to it and would just, like, tell me about it. And it would, like, really affect me and my mood. And I'm like, no. Then they're winning. Then they win. The haters win. So, no, I don't go on there. I don't give a fuck about it. Say whatever you want about me. Like, nothing can touch me because I know who I am. And you guys are fucking losers writing online about a random ass influencer that like has 500,000 followers. Like, I'm irrelevant. So if you're obsessed with my life, honestly, honored and privileged, but why? But honored and privileged that you care. Thank you. Yeah, that's like what I feel about it. Other than that, really nothing. Ooh, okay, let's do one more. And this is T also. Staying friends with someone who isn't the nicest person, but you've been friends forever. I think you're allowed to outgrow friendships. If they're not nice to you and they make you feel like shit, you're allowed to cut the friendship off. It's okay to like be cordial. It's okay to still like DM occasionally, text occasionally, whatever. But like if this person like doesn't make you feel good about yourself, like as you get older, your circle just gets smaller and you realize you don't have time for bullshit, because when you're in your 20s and then your 30s, like life gets busier and more chaotic and you have a job and you have maybe a significant other, you start to get a family, like your circle just becomes smaller and you have less time for BS. So as you get older, you just might outgrow the person, and like that's okay. That's gonna happen. For me, like I just simply don't have time for the BS friendships, and I've kind of slowly started to minimize those pockets in my life that are like I'm not gonna go grab coffee with a random ass person to like be like, I don't know, like I feel like I just like have my set people for the most part, and I'm always open to making new friends, but I'm not gonna go out of my way for someone that clearly has not been good to me, you know? I'm gonna like shut that down and be like, yeah, like we can be cordial, we can be fine, but like you've treated me like shit. I've gone through stuff like this before with people where it's like you have been nothing but horrible to me, and I've kept you around because for whatever reason, and I simply can't anymore. But like I'm not a person that will ever have bad blood with anyone. Like I don't want that. But it's just like, let's be real about where we stand. Like we're cool, we're fine, but we are not meant to be besties. And I think that's a perfectly acceptable thing to say to someone. Or even to not say to someone, to just let a friendship fade the way that it's fading, you know? So no, you don't need to stay friends with someone that you've been friends with for a long time if they're toxic for you or they're not good to you. Okay, this was a fun episode. I feel like a lot of tea was spilled. I'm very excited for. Let me know if anyone has any other controversial takes. Let me know if you guys agree with any of these, heavily disagree with any of these, because that is perfectly acceptable too, you know? I think that's beautiful, and that's what makes the world go round. Like, we're all going to have different opinions about these things. But this was fun to kind of like dig into it and just be super brutally honest about these things. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little tea sesh. If you don't already, make sure you click the subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you also give this a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And follow me on Instagram at RealWithCW and TikTok at RealWithCarlyWeinstein if you don't already. And I love you, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
What a wonderful world.